YouTube people, what is going on? Neo Cards and Comics here. A tired version of myself. Very busy weekend. Recording this late Saturday night. Shipshwana show this past weekend. Day and a half event now with a preview night on Friday, plus a trade night, plus a full show day on Saturday, plus a 4-hour drive. Means I am worn out. And I have another show today. There is actually two really good local shows today. One in Independence, Ohio, which I will not be attending, and then another one in Cuyahoga Falls, Emilio and Sons. I am attending. That one is more 50-50 Pokemon / sports cards. It's billed that way, but they get a ton of Pokemon, so I am curious to see what the scene is like at that. So busy show weekend for me, even though I am fresh off of Indiana. My full vlog will be up probably Monday or Tuesday. I haven't even looked at the footage yet from it, but I do have a few photos and stuff that I'll share here. And Card Collector 2 had a really good drone reel that I'll show here real quick as well. But that, as you can see, this is a photo that I took over the new building. There is a balcony that overlooks it, so I snuck up there and took a photo of the show floor. Venue was amazing. I thought it had nice wide aisles. It did on Friday night, and then that place got packed on Saturday morning. This photo was taken probably around 10:30-ish a.m. on Saturday morning. So the show floor had only been fully open 90 minutes, and it was already completely overrun. I'll pull up the little reel that CC2 had from drone footage flying over the show floor. I think this was like 450 tables or something. Great mix of inventory. Not a ton of vintage. Definitely more modern with a decent dose of Pokemon, but not like an obscene amount. Probably about 15% Pokemon maybe. Great show. Had an amazing time. This show was already great, and now it is kind of officially leveled up to, it is, if you factor out autograph signers, because I know that's a big draw at Chantilly and Philly, if you're just talking card show, it's right up there now with Philly and Chantilly. And for me, because of location, it's actually surpassed those shows because it's 3 less hours for me to get to this. The only thing that's really missing at this point is grading companies for drop-offs and like COMC. And I know that that'll probably be the next goal that they set and that they will crush. Amazing show, great time. They'll be running it back again 2 more times this year. I would highly encourage you to go if you're in the Midwest region. Like I said, full vlog will drop on this tomorrow. Kind of showing off the crowd from a on the floor level. I kind of talk about what was moving and what was not. Spoilers, baseball was very popular, which is not surprising at this show. I only bought 2 cards. I'll save that for the video tomorrow or whenever the vlog goes up. I sold a ton. I mean a ton of stuff. That PSA sub that I got back with the 12 out of 12 10s, I think I sold 11 out of 12 cards out of that. The 2 cards that I got asked about the most were the Jason Dominguez auto and the Jackson Churio orange sapphire selections. One of those cards I actually brought back with me. The other one I ended up selling. I set up at trade night, and within literally 3 minutes of the door opening, I had my cards laid out. What I assume was a repacker or a whatnot buyer walked up to me and picked out a stack of about 10 cards and basically cashed me out right there for probably between 90-ish%, maybe close to 95 on some stuff, full comps on a couple of cards, but very easy to work with. I had my numbers, he had his, and he said, hey, can you do this? And I said, yep, because they were very reasonable asks based off what I had on my stickers. And I instantly sold $600 or $700 of stuff to him, sold some other stuff later in the night, and then sold a stack of raw Pokemon on Saturday morning and the Churio PSA 10 I ended up was the one that the orange Sapphire Selections. I sold the Great Sports Cards Logan on Saturday morning. So I went to the show with $1,500 in cash. I came back from the show with almost $2,900 in cash, and I spent probably about 500 and some bucks at the show. About 2 autos. I show those in the vlog, but great show, insanely busy, absolutely insane. And it wasn't just people walking around. There was transactions going down like crazy all over the place. Big cards, value boxes, the whole 9 yards. I'm sure Card Collector 2 will have a massive vlog up from this, as well as he covers this show extensively, as he is now part behind the scenes with it with Brad. And as he teases here, just wait till you see what we do in Ohio. Please bring a big show to Ohio. I've been begging for it forever. We deserve one. We are land of a million small card shows. Be great to have a tentpole show down in Columbus or Cleveland. Before we dive too deep, shout out to today's video sponsor and sponsor of the weekly sports card market update, COMC.com. They have an outstanding event running right now. 30% off select and elite submissions running until the beginning of April. Technically ends March 31st, so basically the entire month of March, you have 30% off elite and select submissions. So if you were thinking about sending stuff in, especially stuff that was maybe just slightly higher priced, now is the time. Or fresh pulls, because this will stack with fresh pulls typically as well. So get those cards into COMC.com. Don't leave them sitting around cluttering up your desk like I did for years before I started sending stuff in. I have a box on the desk ready to go. That'll probably go out next week, especially now that I know that they have this running. I did not know that this was coming. I'm glad I kind of held off for a little bit, so I will get my next submission in very quickly here. But don't sleep on that. Great stuff going on over at COMC.com. Not a ton, actually, in all respects, pretty quiet news week, which is kind of good. You know, it's busy with all the show nonsense. So not a ton of news, probably a little bit heavier on charts and graphs today. May try to keep this one a little bit shorter as I am spent. This just popped up Saturday morning, was floating around the social sphere. I guess someone bought, air quote, bought a silver Prizm JJ McCarthy off eBay. What they got was a card that basically fell apart in their hands with some weird film over it to make it look like a silver. Now, a couple things on this. It appears, at least from what I could piece together, that the listing photos were just a random JJ McCarthy silver Prizm, because the card that they got, the card in the listing photos had Prizm on the back of the card like it does, but the card the person got in hand did not have the wording Prizm on the back, which is what tells you that it is a parallel card. So that was a dead giveaway. This was also a cheaper card, so it did not go through eBay authenticity guaranteed, because obviously that would have got caught right away if it would have went through AG when the card's literally falling apart in their hand. I'm guessing what they're going for here is sell a bunch of these and hope people don't notice right away. I'm sure we've all gotten packages and left it sitting in the top loader or the mag or maybe even the bubble mailer for a few days, wait for it to get past return policy, or maybe just offload a bunch of these things all at once and then just close the account and run with the money. I don't really think that that works, but who the hell knows what goes through scammers' minds. Regardless, keep your head on a swivel out there, pay attention to what you're buying, and if you're buying online, pay attention to what you end up getting in the mail. Some PSA stuff. PSA did an app update. They did this about 2 weeks ago. They kind of formally announced it this week. Great. It is fantastic. Now, I have not used it for a submission yet. I'm actually planning on doing that this week. I have a 20 card TCG submission I need to get in, give or take. So I'm going to test it out for that. But the card scanning on it is real good. Like real good. I used it at 2 shows last weekend, and then I used it at Shipshwana over the weekend, and it is real handy. I used it primarily for more common cards that transact a lot, where I could just kind of go off eBay sold listings and run with it, like a silver Prizm or a random baseball refractor or random auto that like a first Bowman auto, something that transacts a lot, because it will pull in eBay sales data. It's tied in with eBay, so you can look at pricing data. They're kind of showing it there. It'll only show you graded comps right now for any PSA grade. And that's the one hitch is that there's no raw values on there, and there are no PSA or non-PSA grading company values on there. So if it's something that does not sell often and you need to look at like what a BGS 9.5 did or what an SGC did to kind of figure out what your price needs to be, it's not great for that. You're probably still going to want to use alt or market movers or card ladder or whatever it is, your scanning app du jour, Ludex, whatever one that you want to use. It's still not, it's inside PSA's walled garden, I guess is what I'm looking to say. And that makes sense. It's a PSA app. But for like common stuff, for Pokemon, it's real nice to pull a quick pop report and to pull pricing data. And like I said, the thing that was the best on it was the scanning. I scanned probably 100 and some cards over the course of the last 48 hours. And I think I had one come back that was the wrong card. Brand new stuff won't be in there yet, but the scanning on this thing is very, very impressive. It is of all the apps that I've used, scanning text specifically, it is probably the best one I have interacted with just for scanning. Like I said, it's going to give you a limited data set inside PSA's walled garden, so that may or may not be great for you. I'm excited to try it for a submission because I have a Pokemon submission I need to send in, and I don't necessarily know like the cards as well. So being able to scan those, I think, is going to save me a ton of time, but I have not tried that yet. So PSA app update is real nice. There's a lot of other little features in there, but those were the things that I noticed the most that I used. Grading specials, kind of mid. We have a $60 with a 20-day turnaround time, a regular service $1,500 declared value, and a value plus for $50, $1,000 declared value, 25-day business turnaround time. And that's it. Once again, PSA is still struggling with incoming volume. I think they've made some slight headway on that, but they're still a little backed up. So I don't expect them to be dropping banger specials while they still have plenty of cards to get graded. I have not, as of time of recording, I am recording this on the 1st. I have not seen gem rate data yet. I don't know. He may not have released it yet. He may have, and I just not have gone and looked for it. So we'll do a gem rate update. I have a feeling the grading numbers are going to be strong in February, and I have a feeling it is going to be dominated by TCG. With as hot as Pokemon is right now and the new releases that they have had and the weakness of recent sports card releases, I expect TCG to dominate the grading companies for probably at least the next month or two, if not longer. But we'll see what that gem rate data looks like once we get that in hand. That'll probably be Monday or Tuesday's video, depending on when the Shipshwana vlog goes up. But kind of mediocre grading specials from PSA. I am not surprised by that, as they are still continuing to work through their little mini backlog. Some Topps news. They have a special set coming out to celebrate the Tokyo series. These, I believe, are only going to be available in Japan. Yeah, Tokyo Dome, Topps Japan, and I'm not even going to try whatever that other park is over there. It looks like it's a flip on essentially Series 1 with a new little fresh coat of paint on it. I am sure these will be very popular, only because of the limited print run on it. They'll probably be a pain to get over here. Be curious to see what breakers get a bunch of this to rip open. We'll have to see how this plays itself out, but limited specifically to the Tokyo series. So if you're over that way, look for these and potentially grab some. Moving over to charts and graphs. Market movers, link in the description down below. If you want to play around with your own versions of charts and graphs, get a free trial. You could do all that down below. There is a little code down there if you want to check it out. Like I said earlier, the two of the hotter names I heard at the show, Chourio and Jason Dominguez. I was just kind of curious to see how their cards have been doing. I pulled up their first Bowman autos. This is dating back to November to kind of see the entire offseason run up to today. Both cards up quite a bit. The Chourio up a little bit more. Dominguez is up about 20%. Chourio is up about 45%. He was definitely one of the most trendy names at that show. Dominguez got a little pump lately because I think he hit a home run in like the first weekend. He has a clear path to playing time now with Soto gone, and the hype is beginning to build. Keep in mind, we are in spring training now. Games have started. Random guys are going to have big days in spring training against other random guys. Their card prices are going to go crazy, and your window to sell during those crazy periods is usually pretty small. So just factor that all in, kind of keep that in mind as we move throughout the spring. Some of these little prospect guys are going to pop off because they have hot springs, and that could be your off-ramp time. Another one that I was just kind of curious about because I really haven't heard a lot of chit chat over the offseason in regards to cards. Ohtani. I wanted to peek in at a bunch of his 2018 refractors. We have the pink rookie debut refractor, his Prizm pitching, his base refractor, and the pink refractor all in PSA 10, and basically no movement. The rookie debut hitting pink, it got a little bit of a run up, but that just happened in the last couple of days. Everything else is basically flat or down slightly. So no run up at all for Ohtani over the off season. Now, we'll see what happens once the season starts. Obviously, Ohtani got a ton of play last year with the 50-50 chase and the World Series and the whole 9 yards. So that momentum essentially carried over into the off season in regards to he didn't see any massive dips or anything like that. He just basically stayed flat. We will see what this season brings, but Ohtani, obviously one of the bigger names people will be chasing once the season actually starts. Basketball. Shout out to my Cleveland Cavaliers. Boy, I thought they had the game on at trade night. I was sitting right by the TV. I glanced over my shoulder. It was like 27-5. You actually hear me talk about it in the vlog. Then I did some deals and I turned around later and they were within like 10. And then I basically stopped trading and packed up everything with like 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and just turned around and watched the basketball game with a few other folks. They look fantastic. Fun game against the Celtics there. Celtics were down a couple players, but we'll see what happens when the playoffs spring. I wanted to look to see who's been performing throughout the season. So I went back to September. So a little bit before the season started, I was curious to see who's had the biggest run up. And SGA by a mile. He is the blue bar here. This thing has went absolutely nutty the last few days, or about basically the month of February. I have not dug into this. I did not have time before recording the video. This seems a little crazy, so might need a little additional research on that one, but his numbers are absolutely wild. Other players seeing huge increases. None of these names should be surprising, but these increases are no joke. Like if you actually bought into these guys before the season started, you're getting pretty good returns on this. Cade Cunningham, Silver Prizm is up 50%. Donovan Mitchell is up 75%. Amen Thompson is up 136%. Jalen Johnson, he's now out for the season, but he had a great middle part of the season, up 80%, and Jaren Jackson Jr. having a great year as well, up 110%. So if you would have bought that for around $50 before the season started, it's $100 now. Obviously, there's plenty of guys going down as well, but just curious to see performance on the court having a direct impact on these players' prices. And the other thing that I kind of noted here, outside of Shea, who was already a little bit expensive, all these other cards were very reasonably priced. Cade in the offseason, $250. Donovan Mitchell, $150. Amin Thompson, $80. Jalen Johnson, $80. Jaren Jackson Jr., $50. I've said this 1,000 times before. It's a lot easier for a $50 card to double or triple in price than it is for a $1,000 Luka to double or triple in price. Yes, the dollar amounts aren't as large, but it's all about the percentages. So keep that in mind when you're chasing this stuff. Also, a lot less risk as well. Quick check-in on Wemby to see how his prices are doing. PSA 10s have kind of sat around the $700 mark. That seems to be the current floor at the moment. It could obviously still go lower, but down a good $100-$150 from where he peaked out at in recent times. I saw some silver prisms on the show floor at ships. Most were reasonably priced. A couple stickers I saw on them were like $725, $735, $750, which isn't like the most terrible asking price for a sticker that I've seen compared to some stuff. I didn't try to negotiate on them or anything. It wasn't a player that I'm looking to buy, obviously, but Wemby stuff for now seems to be floating around that $700 mark. One last player I wanted to check in on, one Mr. Patrick Mahomes, and that is because his stuff continues to fall. Mahomes now down to 4.3K. I believe this was 5K when we looked at it last week. So another $700 drop in just over a week, down 30%. PSA 9 is dropping as well. The 10's dropping a little bit more aggressively. His stuff not looking too hot overall. This is just kind of zooming out a little bit more to kind of get a feel for over the season. If we go back to, September 2nd, this is basically when the season started. So since the season started to today, he's only down about 10% on both cards, but he obviously got some bump ups during the season in the playoffs. We'll have to see where his floor settles at. Does it go lower than where it was before last year started? It's already a little bit below that, but does it flirt and get under 4K? Do we see 3K silver Mahomes again? I think part of the problem here isn't his talent. It's just that the window may now be closing on that team, if not already closed. They have a lot of high-priced talent and a lot of holes to fill, and they got dominated by the Eagles. So we'll see where things go from here. But the Mahomes market not looking too great right now. Where you at? Comment section. Myself and the Mahomes fanboys have jabbed back and forth in the comment section for years now, like the Mahomes fanboys and the tag bots I put almost in the same category. But that is all I got for you boys and girls today. Like I said, we'll keep this one a little bit shorter. Upcoming videos this week, most likely some gem rate data, Shipshwana card show vlog, probably a COMC submission, and God knows what else is going to pop up in the wonderful world of the hobby. That is all I got for you boys and girls. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. We will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.